questions. And the reason I want to ask you questions is because it's proven that if you answer these questions as we go through, that you're going to be able to make the best choices for your life and your health, and that's what I care about the most. It's like I said, I want to empower you to be the doctor, and I don't want to be the dictator in your life. Make sense? So you're okay with that? You're playing 100%? Okay, good. So the first question I always ask them, Lori, is if someone was stealing money from your bank account or you're overpaying your bills, when would you want to know? Why? Right, but you said yesterday for a reason, so it could what?
So you can stop.
Absolutely, so you can stop before it creates a bigger problem in your life. So great answer. You're the first person I ever had to that said yesterday, so good work. Second question I ask is that if you're driving on a vacation with your friends and family, people you care about, you're driving between Las Vegas and Arizona, so a stretch of desert, and you have hardly any tire tread left on one of your tires, when do you want to know? Why? Right, so you don't have a wreck, right, so you're all safe, right? So before, again, so it's the same analogy as before, you got a great answer, so that's perfect, because you're thinking about prevention. So the last question I have, which is the most important, that is if you have damage right now that's going inside your body, that's shutting down the nerves, going to the cells, the organs, and the tissues, that's going to cause organ failure or early death, when would you want to know? Absolutely. Why?
So we can make it better.
Absolutely, so you can stop it before it creates a major catastrophe in your life. So that's why you're here tonight, and that's my job, is to make you be able to make the decisions that are going to greatly affect your life and your future. So the first thing we got to talk about is health. Because the majority of people in this country want to be healthy, as do you, I would imagine, right? So what do most people judge health on? Okay, so okay, so let's go weight, you said first, so that's how I what? That's how I look, right? So if I look a certain way, that equates to health. The second thing you said was absolutely right, how I feel. So majority of people in this country, if I'm speaking to 1,000 or you, or 1,000,000 or you, and it's going to come down to the same thing, everyone's going to say those same answers in a varied way. That if I look great and I feel great, I'm healthy. But yet, the top two leading disease killers are heart disease and cancer. And when do you feel either one? Absolutely. 80% of the time, the first warning sign and symptom of a heart attack is a heart attack itself, and 80% of those people don't make it. Can you have stage 4 cancer and never feel it? You absolutely can. So when I was 25 years old, I was back home in Canada. I went out with one of my great friends who was 25 years old, 6'1", 6% body fat. So this guy had the definition of an 8-pack, okay? Made people like me hate him. Okay, he was a high-level hockey player. So he looked great, he felt great, he was able to do great things. And then he died. And guess what he died of? Cancer. And guess when they found his cancer? Absolutely. So I went out with him that Friday. I couldn't get a hold of him on Saturday. I couldn't get a hold of him on Sunday. And on Monday, his father went to his apartment, scoured the apartment, thought he wasn't home, he must have been on a trip. As he was about to leave, he saw the light of the bathroom shining in his bedroom when he shut off the light. So he went to the bathroom door, opened it, and the worst imaginable thing happened. He saw his son laying on the floor, that he was dead. So they took him to the hospital, did an autopsy. They opened him up, and that's when they discovered he had brain cancer. And guess what signs and symptoms he had? Zip. No headaches, no nothing, right? So he never had a sign, never had a symptom. He was the epitome of what people think is health. And yet at 25, his life is where? Gone, right? All because that's how majority of us judge our health. So the thing I need to change today is how you judge your health, right? Because if we judge our health and how we look and how we feel, where are we going to end up? Heart disease, cancer, and gone way before our time. Now there's something really scary about our society. When we get sick, what are we trained to do? And what do we get? The magic pill, potion, or lotion, right? And like I said, I'm not here to debate that with you. My point being is that, could medication save your life in a crisis? The answer is what?
I would say yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? I had a practice member get shot 6 times in the stomach. Was I glad that he went to the hospital and got saved? Yeah, I was thankfully never called me that night. Like, that's a smart guy, right? But here's the problem: we go to these doctors when we have a symptom, and we go take a medication that does what to that symptom? It covers it up, right? Then what happens to the underlying cause of that problem? Does it get better or worse? Without us knowing, and it still leads to organ failure and early death. That's the number one cause of death in the United States today, is masking our problems. So the thing I wanted to teach you is that I don't want you to mask your problems. That's why I said to you yesterday, I don't treat symptoms in here. Why? Because if I treat symptoms, I'm no better than what's killing every single person in this country. So I gotta be completely different and get to the cause of people's problems. So when we talk about cause, we gotta talk about what causes it or what function is. So the true definition of health is not how I look and how I feel, okay? The true definition of health is how well your body functions and heals. So if your body functions at 100%, what's your health gonna be? 100%, yeah. And there's something in your body that controls all functions. Do you have any guess what it might be?
Maybe your spine, maybe your brain.
Absolutely. See, I knew you were smart, lady. So there's nothing to fear. So here's what it is. Here's the greatest thing that I could ever teach you. And if you leave here tonight with one new ounce of knowledge, let it be this. Okay? This is the most important thing anyone can ever teach you. That your brain controls all life, all healing, and all function. That brain sends messages down that spinal cord like a river, out those nerves to control those organs. So if your brain, spinal cord, and nerves work at 100%, what's the health of your organs going to be? 100%. So that means no cancers, no heart disease, no autoimmune diseases, no connective tissue diseases. No major life-crippling illness or thing can happen if you work at 100%. Does that make sense? Now you're a smart enough lady to know that if I were to cut the nerve to your heart right now, what would happen to you? Yeah, in a second, right? So there's that thing called subluxation. You remember that term I said to you? So say subluxation again. The reason I want you to say it is so you can have an understanding and ownership now of what's causing all the issues in your body. So what happens is with a subluxation, your spine, again, should have these three curves. So you should be at 45, 45, 45, be completely straight front to back, and have a 31-degree curve in your atlas. And I'll teach you this more in a second. But here's what happens. Your spine should be situated like this. Okay, from things we do in life, one way you get subluxation is the spine straightens. So if you straighten any one of these curves, that's considered a subluxation. The second way is if that spine bends. And the third way is if that spine twists and rotates. Okay? So when you have one of these three things in your spine, Lori, it acts like a dam. So I'm going to just pretend that we put a dam right here in the middle of your neck. What's going to happen to signals below that point? They get shut down, right? And what happens above the dam? It gets all backed up. So there's two major areas above and below that become affected. Well, below it's the whole way, and above it gets backed up. So if I have a subluxation or a dam affecting the nerve to your heart, what does your heart have to do now? Absolutely. So that equates to higher blood pressure, high cholesterol, abnormal rhythms, right? So we have all these symptoms. Now, are the symptoms a good thing or a bad thing?
Only a good thing types of.
Right. But how are most of us trained that they're what? That they're bad. So your body's so smart that it never makes mistakes. Okay, so every symptom that you're having and that you've had in the past has been your body trying to tell you that there's damage. But damage to where? So you go to a medical doctor with that damage, what do? They run all the tests on all the parts that are being affected, and what do they tell you? There's nothing, take it, right? If there's nothing wrong, why should we have to take something?
Right.
Or it's genetic, or it's this, or it's bad heart, or bad gallbladder, or bad pancreas, or bad parts, right? But they never look to the what? The spine to see where the cause is. So every symptom you have tells us there's damage. Not damage to the organs, damage to the thing that controls it all. The spinal cord and nerves, which control every bit of function in your body. So if there's a dam here causing you to have high blood pressure, and I remove the dam, what's going to happen to that nerve? Absolutely. So what happens to your heart? Absolutely. Is that every time or every time? Right, it's every time. It's all or none. So that's the greatest thing I can tell you is that if we found subluxation in your spine, guess what it's causing? All the things that you have. Right? It is. Right? Is there some genetic? Sure. But guess what? If there's damage here, there's got to be damage where? In every organ, cell, and tissue of your body that's being affected. So the area we look to the most, that has to be the most important area in your spine is the C1. So I want you to take both fingers. I want you to touch under your ear and feel that right there. That's your top cervical vertebrae. That's your atlas. So come right there. Yeah. So right at your index finger, that top part is that atlas vertebrae. That atlas vertebrae protects your brain stem. What's your brain stem control? Yeah, everything. So here's the thing. That atlas angle has to be at 31 degrees. Do you remember Christopher Reeves? What happened to Superman?
I can't remember what happened to him.
Horsey locked him off,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
And then where was he? Absolutely. So everyone says that wheelchair or paralyzed. What no one ever says to me, Doc, the guy had to live off a ventilator. That his heart only worked because it was hooked up to a pacemaker. that he ate food through a feeding tube. He couldn't even chew his own food. They actually had to massage the guy's stomach to go to the bathroom in a bag. Okay, he couldn't grow facial hair. Do you know what he died of? A common cold. Or is it common cold?
Was it?
You want to know why?
We were just talking about this. We weren't-
Right, but you want to know why? Because your nervous system regulates what system? Immune system. So if this nervous system becomes shut down, what happens to your immune system?
Yeah.
Shut down, right? So there's your link between your spine and cancer. So back to Christopher Reeve. So he broke this bone. Now, when was he born with bad body parts? Was it faulty organs or bad body parts that caused him to be like that? The answer is no. What did he do? He damaged that top bone and it shut down all life, health, and healing from where? Above, down. So the thing we always say in here is that above, down, inside out is how well your body heals. What that means is from above, from down, from the inside to the outside is how well the body works. So when Christopher Reeve broke that, it shut all life, health, and healing down. So in any nutrition or exercise program or mindset or Tony Robbins seminars or prayer brought life, health, and healing back in that spine, the answer is what? No. Because what did you have to restore? You have to repair that dam, but once there was that damage, it was what? Broken for life. Right? So that's why our spinal cord is the most important thing we have, because it's the only thing in our body that's encased in pure bone. That your body will do whatever it takes to protect what? That spinal cord. So at times in our lives, when this subluxation sets in and it gets an advanced degeneration, guess what it's doing? It's saving your spinal cord, but it might be killing a nerve to another part of your body. But what does it want to keep it most? It wants to keep the what? Spinal cord. Why? Because when it's severed, it's damaged. Okay? When we lose it, we're dead. So the one thing we want to maintain the rest of our lives is that nervous system. Okay? Does that make sense with you? So here's the thing. I've met people that have been to chiropractors in the past and like, it doesn't work. Right? Chiropractic didn't work for me. I'm like, oh, sorry to hear that, but that's an incorrect statement. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, not chiropractic didn't work, the chiropractor didn't work. Here's why I say that. I had a lady come to me, she goes, I had lower back pain. I got adjusted for my lower back pain and it never went away. And I said to her, you got adjusted in the wrong area. She looked at me like I was nuts. Right? Doc, lower back pain, he adjusted, it never went away. And I said, I hear that. But I said to her, let me explain this to you. So if this is the most important bone we have, and it should be at a 31-degree angle, if that goes to 21 degrees, what did that just cause in the whole body? Problems. So could that not cause lower back pain? Right? But what are most people trained to do? Treat your what? Absolutely. So does it make sense why most people adjust where you have pain? But if this bone never gets corrected, guess what never gets better? Absolutely. Or your function to all the organs, cells, and tissues. So in our office, this is the area that we're the most specific and scientific about. That's the area that Dr. Ryan has drawn on your x-rays to precision to know exactly where that angle's at. Because if this thing's not fixed, nothing else is fixed. When we fix this, guess what happens to the rest of your body? Absolutely. Because the brain can get the signals down. So that's why I always look above, down, inside out, not below up or outside in. Because health is here. And how can I say that? Because we've had people that have had every disease under the sun from A to Z walk through these doors and get amazing results. And how am I different? What do I do? Nothing different. All I do is I make sure that this thing works at what percent? And what happens when you work at 100%? Absolutely. Is that what you want? That's what I want for you, right? That's what I want for every single person. So when people come in here and they're broken, they're out of hope, I can outweigh that because I know when they walk through this door that there's hope. Why? Because you walk through the door. That tells me that you have a what? A brain. The only people I can't help are brain dead. Have I gone and adjusted quadriplegics? Absolutely. People are like, were you trying to make them walk again? I'm like, no. But if there's a guy with a spinal cord injury, what do I want to have working? As much as possible, right? I want to stimulate that body as much as possible. I help those people, right? But we just remove the interference and let their bodies to heal and function at 100%. So does that make sense about subluxation, what it causes? So that's all we're going to do. I'm going to teach you how to read x-rays now better than 90% of people, so then you can make the best decision for your life and your health. Because the choice you make is only going to affect you. It doesn't affect me or my team or my life. But my goal here tonight is to educate in a way that you can make the best choice for yourself. Fair with that? Okay. So let's go like this. I'm going to teach you, like I said, how to read x-rays. So when we go back, the first x-ray you're going to see of your body is this picture here from the side. Okay, so it's this picture right here. Okay, it's that part of your neck. And like I said before, these 45-degree curves, scientists call them the arcs of life. Because if you have them, you get life to all the organ cells and tissues in your body. Okay? So the thing you want to look at first, when I put this x-ray up, you're going to stare at it, you're going to probably be a little overwhelmed, but you just take a deep breath and look. Because here's the first things I want you to look at. This top bone, the atlas, should be at a 31-degree angle. So out of 31 degrees, what number do you want to see on yours?
Out of the
So you want to see, yes, out of 31, you want to be at what? 31, because that's 100%. So anything less than 100% is what? Healthy or sick? Absolutely. It's causing damages and death to every organ, cell, and tissue in your body. Okay? So you want to look at that. So Dr. Ryan's going to have a number out of 31 and how much percent loss that is.
Okay.
The next curve you want to look at is that curve, your cervical curve. It should be at a 45 degrees, and of course you want to be 45 out of 45. Because anything less than 45 is what?
Not good.
Right. And do you want to be not good or less than 100%? Absolutely not. And you're tired of it, right? So the other thing we're going to talk about are your discs. Do you know what your discs do?
They make it move, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Motion, cushion, and protection of your nerves. So they keep pressure off those nerves. Have you ever heard of herniated discs?
Oh, yes.
Are you afraid of them?
Well, yes, my mother has one.
Okay, so here's what happens, right? How do you get a herniated disc? If you're in proper alignment, can you have a herniated disc? And the answer is what?
No.
No, you can't.
Usually an injury, isn't it?
Absolutely. So how do you get jelly out of a donut?
Squish.
Jelly shoots out, right? So here's what happens. In our spine, from things we do, in your lower back, you can straighten this curve. Boom, straighten it, right? Disc becomes herniated. 98% of people walking on planet Earth have herniated discs. And you're going to say, well, I don't feel any pain, right? This nerve that comes out of here is 90% innervation, 90% function, 10% pain. So if you never hit a pain fiber, guess what you don't feel? And guess what you never know you have? A herniated disc, right? You're going to have organ symptoms, but you're going to go to the doctor and they're not going to say it's from a herniated disc. They're going to say it's from genetics, age, culture, or race. But yet, it's that nerve that can't get the signals to the brain. But then you go tie your shoe one day, or you go shovel snow, or you put your foot up on whatever you want, and then it hits that pain fiber, guess what you feel? Oh, then you go in, they're like, you got a herniated disc. So it makes sense then if that disc is bulging to do what to it? Cut it out. So can you imagine me having false alarms in this office all the time, driving 20 minutes to get here to get a false alarm, so I just say one day, I'm going to take the batteries out of my alarm system. Why?
Because then you'll never know that there's a problem.
So guess what happens when you cut out that disc that's hitting that pain fiber?
I didn't know you could cut.
Oh, they cut them out all the time. Oh yeah, disectomies. Let's cut it out, or better than that, let's put rods in there to fuse it in place.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, crazy, right? But that's the medical way. They either drug you up or you cut you up. Guess what we don't do here?
Doesn't work.
Well, I'm not going to let it do to me. Okay, so does that make sense? So this is picture normal. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through the 4 different phases that we see in this office and how we get results. Okay. So here's these phases. So this is the same picture I just showed you. What happened to that spine? It went completely what?
Straight.
Straight. So it went from curve to completely straight. So is that healthy or sick?
That's sick.
Absolutely. Now, do you think you feel that?
I would say yes, you feel the symptom of it.
But not pain?
Actual cause.
Absolutely, right? So here's the deal. In this phase, you don't know it's there. Why don't you know it's there? Because you probably don't have neck pain, mid-back pain, or lower back pain. But what do you have? And you're having symptoms, right? The alarms are going off.
Right.
The fires are going off. We have to do something about it. That's when we go treat our symptoms. The reason we don't think of going into a chiropractor is because for years people think chiropractic's for what? Pain. Only go to a chiropractor if you're in pain because we're neck pain doctors or we're back pain doctors. That's not what we are. So what we are is we're nervous system specialists, right? That's why I'm different than the office 2 doors down. I'm a nervous system specialist. I specialize in the spine and nervous system. Why? Because this is causing damage. When do we want to stop it? Like you said at the beginning, yesterday, right? But we don't know it's there, so we just treat our symptoms and it gets worse. What I mean by that, it goes from normal to this phase, then to phase 2 in a span of 12 years. So if I see any arthritic change on your x-rays, I know you've had the problem for at least 12 years.
Okay.
Okay? By here, do you think you're feeling pain?
I would say yes.
Yes. You're going to be in pain. Okay? Neck pain, back pain, I've had it for years, I can't get it to go away. Or you're feeling pain throughout your entire body. Because now it's starting to move, it can't move correctly, you're hurting more with motion, and it's robbing you of your life.
So that can be radiating then?
Absolutely, absolutely, because it's just putting pressure on all those nerves, and
Okay.
it's shutting it down. And you can see that atlas is even more flat now, so this person's really bad, okay?
So this here, does that mean that there is no more cushion?
Right, so what's happening is, when you have subluxation, okay, and the further, if I do this to you, and I keep bending forward, what color can you see more of now? When I do this, you can't see any yellow.
Yellow.
That yellow is your spinal cord, right? So if it keeps opening up and something hits you there, guess what it's gonna puncture? That spinal cord. So what your spine wants to do is it wants to lay down new bone to fuse that segment to stop it from opening up. Because your body is smart. It wants to protect your spinal cord. So what happens is we call that advanced spinal degeneration or spinal decay. And that's basically robbing you of function, okay? So what happens is it goes from here to phase 3. How many people do you think I see in phase 3?
A lot,
Not many.
really.
Why? Because they don't make it.
Oh, okay.
They're either gone by then, or they're the ones that are occupying our nursing homes. Okay, in the nursing home rate in Colorado, the vacancy rate is 0, so there's no beds. And these are people like you that at one point in their lives had goals, dreams, and desires, right? And not one of them, I guarantee you, had, I want to live in a nursing home. But why did they end up there? Because they didn't know there was anything they could do. They ignored their symptoms, or they just thought it was part of life, no pain, no gain. And now they're sitting there today wishing they would have what? Done something about it. 9 years ago when I got out of school, we could not help people in this phase. It broke my heart. Because I had people like you that say, can you help my mother, brother, aunts, uncles, they're older. They'd come in and their spines look like that. And I'd say, you know what, I can't get your result, but we can treat your symptoms. But I train the top doctors in the world that every 4 months I fly all around the country to get certified in spinal correction. So myself, my wife, Dr. Michelle, and Dr. Ryan, we're 3 of 500 doctors in the world certified in spinal correction, where today I can get someone like that results. And so because of this work, my wife and I were hand-chosen to be part of the 2012 U.S. Olympic team. I've done the Denver Cutthroats the last 2 years, CrossFit Games the last 4 years. I have USA swimmers that come here. I work on track and field athletes. We fly all over the world to look after sports teams. We have people coming here. I have ladies driving 7.5 hours from northern Wyoming to come here, passing thousands of other chiropractors and getting results. Why? Because we don't treat symptoms. We find the cause, remove it, and allow your body to heal as it should. Does that make sense? So that's why we just pride ourselves in what we do, in the work that we do, and how detailed we are, and specific we are with our adjustments and the correction. So like I said, people like that, they're getting results. So who's going to get better results? Or that one, right? The earlier we can get to you, the better results you're going to be. That's why we see so many kids. Probably have one of the largest pediatric practices in the United States in here because of that. Because, you know, I do what I do for my family, and I think it's good for everyone. Do my kids get adjusted? Absolutely. My kids were adjusted within seconds after birth. Seconds. Like this last time I yelled at my wife, hurry up and move, I gotta adjust my son. She's like, hold on. I'm like, no, now. Okay, this is the worst thing we can see in this office. What do you notice about that guy's spine? Okay, so top bone is where? So this, is that 31 degrees?
No.
So it's completely what? Flat. Choking off all life, health, and healing.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing we can see. This is worse than that phase 3 that I just showed you. Why is it worse? Because it's a reverse curve. Research shows, scientific research shows, that if you have a reverse curve in any area of your spine, it takes 15 to 20 years off your life. So we've never seen anyone over the age of 65 with a reverse cervical curve.
Okay.
Why? Because where do they go? They're dead. Because of massive, massive congestion heart failure. So where's this guy headed?
Don't want that.
Absolutely. Do you think he's ever going to be able to reach his potential or do great things in his life?
That's probably not.
No, right? He's not going to reach his potential, and how old do you think he is? 25 years old. So at 25 years old, he got engaged in December. That January or February, he started throwing up bile. Every single Wednesday, throwing up bile. Didn't think anything was wrong because he was an athlete. He was a high-level athlete, just ignored it, didn't have any pain, but just bile. It went on and on. He finally started having digestive issues, so he went and called for an allergy test, went and got an allergy test done. They couldn't find anything wrong, but his allergy doctor sent him to his primary care physician. And he said, you're either driving or taking the ambulance, which one's it going to be? So he got scared, he drove to his primary care, spent the next 8 hours in the hospital, having every test under the sun done to him. He got brought back in, was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, cirrhosis of the liver, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol at 25 years old. Okay? His doctor gave him 15 pills that he said he was going to have to take for how long? The rest of his life. He also recommended him to go see a cirrhosis meetup group to go try to tell him to stop drinking because he thought he was an alcoholic. That's what his doctor did. So he went in this room, it was full of guys in their 60s and 70s. In comes a 25-year-old, and they thought that he was there to teach the class, But he started talking to these guys and like, oh, what do they recommend? And he started listing his medications. All these guys said to him, you need to go to your doctor and tell him you don't want to do that. And he said, why? He's like, well, they cause infertility, erectile problems, and sterility. So now this guy at 25 years old who just got engaged was told he was never going to have children. He went back to his medical doctor and he said, Doc, thank you so much for sending me there. I don't want to take my medications. The doctor looked at him and said, you have two choices. You have your meds or you can die. That was it. So what do you think he chose that day? No. That was the day that I was standing there in front of that doctor and I chose death. This is my story. So here I was, 6 months from graduating chiropractic school, and a guy told me that it was 15 pills or death. And that's when I said, I'm going to go out on my own. So I said, if I can't have kids, it's like you're killing me. So I flew back down to Davenport, Iowa. My wife, or my fiance at the time, came back from break 2, and I said to her, I got cirrhosis, I got diabetes, I got high blood pressure, I got high cholesterol, I ain't going to make it till I'm 40. You may as well leave me and find someone else. Because if I can't have kids, it's like you're killing me anyways. So I went to a big pile of depression. I hit rock bottom. I pushed all my friends and family away. I didn't even know if I wanted to graduate chiropractic school because I felt like chiropractic school let me down. And I'll never forget, one day, just sitting there minding my own business, a classmate of mine, a friend of mine came up to me and goes, hey, you need to meet this Maximize Living Corrective Care chiropractor. And what do you think I said? I said no. I was like, forget it. I'm like, the best doctors in Canada told me that was my future. That's what they diagnosed me with. Right? That's what I had, so I believed them, right? Because I looked up to the doctors, like so many of us do. And so I remember I was bad and I was bad and I was bad, and this guy kept saying, go see this chiropractor, go see. Finally he got smart and he changed his question. He came up to me and he goes, let me ask you a question. I said, what? He goes, what's your life been like these last 3 months? And I said, living hell. And then the greatest question anyone ever asked me goes, with your life being a living hell, what would you be willing to do to get rid of it? And what did I say? No, if my life is a living hell, he goes, what would you be willing to do to get your life back? And what did I say? Whatever it takes. He said, great. I put your name down to be invited to this dinner with the doc. So you're going to drive, it's 35 minutes away from school, but you just said you'd go and you have to go, and here's the catch, you got to take Michelle. I'm a man of my word, okay? So I said I would do whatever it takes. He caught me in this trick, so I said to Michelle, let's go see this doctor, but I went with a chip on my shoulder. I was like, what's the catch? What's this garbage? Like I just went in with a negative mindset, right? Because I was like, it's going to be too good to be true. Because I was beaten down. And I went there that day, and the doctor sort of went over the subluxation like that with you, where all health and healing comes from. It was the first time I ever heard of it. Then what he said was, at the end of this, he goes, the only way to know if there's subluxation in your spine is by taking a what? Yeah. That was the first time I ever heard a chiropractor say we need to take an x-ray of your spine. Here I am, 3 years, and 3 years into school, and not one time had anyone ever taken a picture of my spine. And guess how many times I was adjusted? Thousands. Okay? I was recruited to Canada to play rugby. So I almost played the Canadian national team. I went down to Iowa, and I'm telling you, we'd go in a scrum, or I'd feel sore, I'd run to the sidelines, the guy would either pop my back or grab my head and adjust me. No blueprint. So the guy said, here's care. It was $6,000 that he wanted to charge me for care in his office. So I had free care where? 35 minutes the other way at school, right?
Yeah.
So $6,000. I remember calling home to mom and dad. I'm like, hey, this guy found a way that he can help my cirrhosis and stuff like that and diabetes. Will you pay $6,000 for me to fix it? What do you think they said?
Yes.
I said, no.
Really?
My mom's medical, right? They just didn't understand. So they're like, no, we're not going to do it. So I went to a bank to go apply for a loan. Being from Canada, guess what I couldn't get? A loan. I went to 13 banks. On the 13th bank, a guy finally said, yes, I'll give you a loan, but it's 26% interest. And what do you think I said? I said, thank you very much. And I took that money, and I started carrying that guy's office, and he said to me one thing. He was, the people that are most committed are going to get the best results. He wanted me to be there for 9 months. I knew I was graduating in 3 months and leaving Iowa. So I went through this guy's office driving 35 minutes, like every day of the week. I went 5 days, sometimes twice a day, to go there, and I got results. By the time I graduated school 3 months later, less than 3 months later, like I said, you went from 265 down to 195. And people say, how did it happen? Well, when he took an x-ray of my spine, he found a 14-degree curvature to go along with that. Okay, so in there, it actually showed that there was all this black markings that showed that my body wasn't digesting food, it was actually fermenting food. But he said the number one thing that we got to fix, he goes, forget your scoliosis. He goes, we got to get this bone back in alignment. And he said, I'm willing to bet that you've had this since birth. I said, well, how do you do that? He goes, well, the way it's at and the way it's positioned and some of your history would indicate that you were born that way. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's a natural birth. So I call mom, I'm like, how was I born? She goes, oh, you're emergency C-section. I said, what do you mean? She goes, your head was so big, right? Had a big head. She goes, it was so big it got stuck. And she said we had to have an emergency C-section where nurses actually had to sit on my mom's shoulders as the doctor stood over her and yanked it out. And she said she heard a loud pop.
Oh my God.
Right? Do you think any of them checked my spine? No, what did they check? Breathing, Apgar score, right? I scored normal. So they thought I was a healthy what? Child. So the thing about it is I almost died twice by the age of 2. One of my siblings, older siblings, found me on 2 different times, 2 different siblings, found me not breathing in my crib on 2 different occasions. Once from vaccinations and once from medications. I almost died twice. Got rushed to a hospital, they saved my life. So you think I'm grateful for medicine?
Yes.
Absolutely. And then I went through life being the sick kid. By my 6th birthday, I had 6 sets of tubes put in my ears because I had chronic ear infections. I had my adenoids stolen from me before my 6th birthday. I had learning disabilities. I was diagnosed with learning developmental delays, dyslexia, right? I couldn't read and comprehend. I was awful, but I always thought it was who? I thought there was something wrong with me. But no one ever explained to me that it was my what? Absolutely. So when I found that out, he started adjusting me. He went through it, and it was the greatest decision and choice I've ever made in my entire life. Why? Because I stand in front of you today. I kept the weight off, except for last year with birth of a child. I was eating too much and not working out, so I got it under control. We're back on track now, but I don't have cirrhosis. I don't have diabetes. I don't have high cholesterol or high blood pressure. And the greatest thing in my life is, like I said earlier, I have 2 children now that I know I would not have if I would have never went where? To that dinner, right? If I would have never went, I wouldn't have this life that I have today. And people always say, are you grateful for your friend? Yeah, I'm thankful, but I'm more grateful for me to choose to go that day, right? You made a decision to come, so I commend you for doing that. Why? Because it was your choice, right? And I know you want to be well, and I'm just telling you, if it works for me, it works for who? Absolutely. I'm no different. I'm a guy from Canada. You're a girl from Colorado, right? And that's the thing, is that we all have the same thing. We have an innate intelligence in our body that allows us to live, function, and heal at 100%. And I strongly believe that I look younger today. If I shave my beard, I look younger than I did when I was 21 years old. Why? Because I'm healthy. And that's what I want for you. And when you're healthy, you can reach your potential and fulfill your purpose. And I feel like I do that every single day.
Yeah.
That's why I love health fairs. I love speaking. I love telling people the truth, right? Because that's what set me free. So I just, hopefully that resonates with you. Here's your first test.
Okay. It's gonna be a quiz.
Right? Of course. From the front, is that healthy or sick?
I would say
So, right, it should be straight up and down, right? So you can see it's curved.
yeah.
So look up here real quick and tell me from T11 down, yell them out what organs are being affected.
Small intestine, spleen. Oh, your kidneys, okay.
Kidneys, bladder, right? Small intestine. So everything from there down is being affected, right?
Yeah.
So you figure that out in like 15 seconds. This guy, Joel, was brought here by his sister that sat through the sport just like you. She brought him in the very next day, okay? When he came in, he had a backpack. He was so embarrassed to walk through the door because in his backpack was a change of clothes. He was going to the bathroom 50 times a day, most times wetting his pants. So he came in, and then he goes to me, my sister said you could cure me. And what do you think I said? I said no. He goes, why the hell am I here? I said, hold on. I said, I can see you're frustrated, but let me tell you this. I said, here's what no one ever told you, right? That if your body goes functioning 100%, you have health. So to have a symptom that tells me your body went from 100% down to 60%, so there's 40% damage on your nerves. So I said, let's see if I can find the cause of your problem. And if I can find your cause and it's coming from subluxation, and I remove it, what can happen to your body? He goes, it can get well. I said, so who's going to be the cure? And he said, me. And I said, bingo. So he took this x-ray and that's what we found. So in the 15 seconds that you said what was going wrong, he had spent 2 years going to every top doctor in Colorado, and guess what he had? Nothing. A bunch of medications that caused his kidney to go from, his right kidney was at 100% when he started, it was functioning at 6%, he was on a transplant list at Arista Hospital. He'd already spent $200,000 on all this medical testing, and it was going to be another $250,000 transplant. So at 25 years old, he's going to be $450,000 in medical debt. Right? But he thought there was no other what? Right. So he walks in, And take is actually, that's what we found. And I said to Joel this, I said, here's our goal. This black line is straight. I said, my goal is this. I want to straighten your spine to allow your body to work at 100%. He goes, so can it save my kidney? And I said, I don't know. I'm not a kidney expert. What am I an expert in? The nervous system working at 100%. If your body still has the ability to heal it, guess what it's going to do? It's going to heal it. Right? Is it going to get it back to 100? I don't know. Is it going to get better than 6? Probably. But what would you rather do? I said, do you want to go in and do a surgery that you're going to live with for the rest of your life, or try to fix it first? What do you think he chose? Fixing, right? Because here's the thing. You're 28?
I wish.
Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, so 28, so you're going to live for another 72 years in 100% health. So you're going to live for 72 years with your organs working at 100%. So say a friend or family member or loved one needed one of your kidneys. Would you lend that person your kidney?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in your body it's going to last for how long? I just said 72 years, right? So if that's that person's body, do you want to put that kidney of yours in them?
No,
Why?
because this spine is monster.
Right. So you can take a kidney that's going to last for 72 years and plop it in that guy's spine, and how long does it last?
Definitely not 72 years.
3 to 5. And then medicine calls it rejection.
Okay.
Right?
Mhm.
Don't you see that happening all the time?
Yeah.
Right? So they're never ever addressing the cause, they're just treating symptoms and making your body work less.
Mhm.
So the thing about it is that's what I said to Joel, I said, man, we got to fix this, because no matter what, if we get a new kidney, it's only going to last 3 years. So he chose to fix it. Do you think one adjustment fixed it?
I would say no.
No. It was a series of adjustments over and over to re-educate that spine to stay in that new proper alignment, to take pressure off that nerve, to allow the body to heal from above down, inside out. So eventually, he went through ups and downs. He had good days, he had bad days. He's like, am I doing the right decision? And right? And I don't know how well your body's going to heal, but here's what I do know. The minute I start removing the interference, your body's going to heal what it needs to heal first. And that's what I said to Joel. I said, the kidney could be that warning sign that there's a cancer. So I said, don't expect to stop peeing right away. Don't expect all this to go away. Just know that every time I remove the interference, your body's going to work better. But I don't know what your body's going to choose. I wish I had that crystal ball. Right? I'd be the most sought after man in the world. I just don't know. But here's the deal. He's been getting adjusted. At the end of that first year in our office, he walked through the door a different guy. He was no longer walking with rolled shoulders. He was standing up tall, and guess what he didn't have? He wasn't wetting his pants. So how great do you think it is to be a man or a woman that doesn't pee your pants every time you leave out and go in the community? He was doing things that we take for granted, that he was loving life. And I just celebrated with him, like, you're a healer, man, you're awesome.
Yeah.
He moved, about 5 years ago to San Diego. And so the only people I'll refer your friends or family, if they live out of state, to go see are people that are certified like my team in here. I will not waste my time sending people you care about to people that don't do the same job as me. Why? Because they're not going to get the same results, and who gets blamed? Because it's my referral. So he goes now and sees one of my great friends, Dr. Ryan Hummel, in San Diego, and he's been getting adjusted ever since, right? Now, today, he walks around, he's got a wedding ring on his finger, and he's got a little daughter that he cherishes more than anything. And why is that important? Because when a guy's peeing his pants, what's the last thing you want to do?
Date anybody.
Absolutely, right? So how grateful do you think he is to chiropractic?
Pretty grateful.
But who should he be most grateful to? Himself for making the what? Choice to do it. And people always ask me, once I do chiropractic, once I start, do I have to do it for the rest of my life? And what do I tell you?
I would say probably yes,
But I say it like this, you don't have to do anything I want you to do, you only have to do it if what?
if you want to.
Right. And if you understand that the spine and nervous system is the most important thing in your body, what's the one thing you want to maintain for the rest of your life?
Choose one.
Right. So if you ask me, am I going to maintain my spine for the rest of my life, what am I going to tell you?
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm a patient just like you. Okay? All my staff in here, my wife, all my kids, all my family, do the exact same things when they ask you to do. Why? Because if it's important for me to do it, who else is important for it? You. But if it's good for you, and I'm not doing it, what's that make me? A hypocrite. Would I ever do that? No. That's not what a leader does. A leader is open and honest and says, this is what I do. Why do I do it? Because it's what we do and what I value. And so I just want you to just to know that we do the same things we ask you to do. Okay? Why? Because we're just patient like you. I love you.
So, when I had surgery on my arm, I had the nerve was not where it belonged.
Okay?
So I had lost like 20%. I was down to like 20% feeling
Okay?
in my fingers. So they did the surgery and they moved the nerve where it belonged.
Okay.
Well, for the longest time, I was like, no.
Okay?
For like years, I
Okay.
was numb. So how does that function here? If
Because,
let's hope that your nerve is the longest thing to
Right.
heal.
yes and no. So the whole point of that, why it happened, is because there's blockage where? There,
Okay,
causing a pain here.
okay,
And then when you had it moved over, it caused numbness here because the cause was,
okay.
right? And like I said, I don't know, I don't wanna say that it wasn't, because I don't know, I'm not, like I said, I don't know, I know anatomy enough, but I don't know what they saw, and if it was, but I just know I bet you it was up there. And I'll show you on your film.
But, I mean, if you do have anything in that that's blocking the nerve, does it take a long time to heal?
Absolutely, a nerve will heal, like, you gotta remember your body, so in 9 months, if your body's working correctly, you get all new organs every 9 months.
Okay.
Because cells are dying and being replaced with good organs or bad organs. So in your case, if there's a dam, yeah, it's gonna take a longer time for it to heal because the body can't get innervation to it.
So does that mean it'll take longer to see different results?
No, not when I start opening it back up and removing it, it's gonna be immediate effect.
So it doesn't matter, it's just gonna take time for the nerve to heal?
Right, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, because you're talking about different things, you're talking about the nerve, because they're not talking about innervation, right? They're saying that the nerve was damaged from that procedure, maybe so. The reason it took a while because that couldn't get signals down fast enough, but if I would adjust it there, that's gonna get signals way faster.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so again, it's pressure on the nerve that causes the nerve. I don't think there's anything wrong with the nerve itself.
Mhm.
Because do you have feeling now? Minor?
Sometimes right here,
But like you don't feel like this?
yeah, I feel it, it's,
Just awkward.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not like
It's not like,
this that you
oh,
feel.
it's not like poke me with a needle.
Right.
Okay, yes, it's that's what happens too, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, here's another one. Healthy or sick? Absolutely. So this guy had seen a chiropractor for 20 years when I met him. So I was at a health fair, just like yours. He came up and he's like, I love chiropractors. He goes, I just moved here from Florida, and I love seeing chiropractors. I've seen one for 20 years. The next words out of my mouth were, what do your x-rays look like? And what do you think he said?
I don't have any answers.
Never seen x-rays. He goes, I just want to come in and get adjusted. I said, well, I don't do that. I said, I'm going to take x-rays, we're going to find your problem, I'm going to bring you back and teach you how to read your x-rays so you can make the best choice for your life. He's like, I don't think you're good if you have to take x-rays. Right? That's what he went to. And I said, well, tell me more about your chiropractor. He was, well, I found this guy, he was referred by our health insurance, so I picked him that way. And he goes, I went and got adjusted once a month. I said, oh, you're on maintenance care. He goes, no, I went once a month the entire time. And I said, why would you do that? He goes, well, my insurance covered 12 visits, so I figured I'd spread them out and go monthly. I said, well, what kind of issues did you have? He goes, I had sciatica. He goes, I've had digestive issues. And I looked at his form, and guess what was circled on his form? Sciatica and digestive issues. So I said, that's what you started seeing him for, and are you still having these issues today? And what do you think he said?
Yes.
Yes. And he goes, now they think I even have prostate cancer. Why? Because the nerves in your lower back go to what areas? Digestive organs, reproductive organs, nerves down your leg. And I said, so why do you think I'm less of a chiropractor if I have to take x-rays? He's like, well, my other guy just did it fine just by feeling. And I'm like, it's not making sense to me, right? So I asked him, I said, I saw that he was married. I'm like, you married? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, so you go to Vegas for work, and you win an award, you call your wife and say, hey, I just won an award, they're gonna keep me overnight, and I'm gonna fly home Sunday now instead of Saturday. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, my wife would say, you deserve it, you've worked really hard. And I say, yeah, you tell her, you love you, I love the kids, can't wait to be home, and I'm 95% committed to our relationship. What do you think your wife says? She would say what? Get home or your stuff's where? On the curb, right? So he goes, oh. And I said, right, so in your relationships, we want our partners to be 100% committed. So let me ask you this, as your doctor, how well do you want me to know your problems?
Very well.
Do you want anything less than 100%? I asked him that, he said no. I said, right, so my hands, I could feel you at 85, 95%. Is that good enough?
No.
No. And he was like, wow, I've never thought about it that way. So I brought him in, I took a picture, and that's what I showed him. And he goes, I got that for 20 years. I'm like, I don't know, you can't blame him. You gotta blame you, because one, you listened to your insurance company, and you went to a guy that was recommended, right? And I said, well, why don't you sign up with insurance companies? And here's the deal. The minute I sign my name to an insurance contract, whose rules do I have to follow?
Insurance.
So who do you want treating you, an insurance company, or do you want a doctor? Right. So I asked him, I said, what happened when you went in this office? He goes, I paid a $10 copay. I was like, wow, that's really cheap, right? Like 10 bucks? I'm like, that's crazy. I said, what happened when you went in? He goes, I got an ice pack, I got a heat pack. The guy put E-stim on me, so a little East End machine, gave me ultrasound, hit me with a red laser, laid me on a rolling water bed, right? Popped my back and out the door I'd go, and I said, do you know what he was charging your insurance company? How much do you think that was being charged? $500. So on visit number 13 in my office, what would you legally have to pay me? $510. Would you do that? Right? Who's gonna do that? So you think that chiropractor cared if people came back that 13th time? Because he was getting paid $6,000 for 12 visits by an insurance company. He didn't care about who. He didn't care about the person. Right, absolutely. Right? Why would you pay me $85 to give you an ice pack?
Yeah. And the tempura you can buy on Amazon.
Right. And it's stuff that doesn't do what? Doesn't bring any life, health, or healing back to the body. So that guy was just making money, and that's why I said I don't do that. And so here's where we're different. So those cushions that you saw people doing all these exercises on, what we do is everything's geared to getting this person results. So we do those wobble cushions. What those do is they loosen up the muscles in your back. They also rehydrate the discs. So now I've worked with the disc and I've worked with the muscle. Then you go over there and you do these neck tractions that are state-of-the-art for the strengthening and stretching of our ligaments. So I've worked with the ligament, I've worked with the muscle, I've worked with the disc. Then I adjust you based off your what? Yeah. So I know the exact areas that need to be what? Corrected. Right? There's no guesswork. I know the exact areas that need to be corrected to allow your body to go back where? Absolutely. And so then immediately after the adjustment, you go stand on those 5 plates. They won a Nobel Prize for the correction of subluxation and stopping the aging and degeneration process in your spine.
I was just reading about that last week.
See? It's all cool how you see everything works, right? You get sent to the right place.
I was like, wow, I never heard of that before. Then I came in the other day, I'm like, I was just reading about that.
So as soon as we started putting these in our practice, the results we saw were amazing. So that lady I told you that drives 7.5 hours from Wyoming, she had multiple myeloma. Guess what she no longer has today? Multiple myeloma, which is a cancer that they say you only have like a 2% chance of living. Why? Because what did we do? We removed the interference, we put her on the Viplate, it helped hold the body, it regenerates your cells and tissues, right? It vibrates at the same frequency in the body, helps with weight loss, endurance, strength, flexibility. Amazing things happens on those Viplates when you put you back. But the most important thing, it helps hold that adjustment. So it allows the brain to communicate better with your body. And then we give you a home care kit. Why? Because the things you do at home got you where?
Where you're at.
Right? Here today. So if I had to tell you to stop doing the things you love to do, what would you say to me? Right. So guess what? This guy moved from Florida to Colorado because his doctors told him that it was his job causing his health problems. And he what? He worked for Pixar. He drew Toy Story.
Nice.
Right? But leaving that would be what? He thought he had the green right, so he left. Why? Because all these guys are like, it's your job, you got to de-stress. But he moved up to Colorado, and what was he still having? Same problems. So I showed him this and said, do you want to leave it or fix it? What do you think he said? Fix it. So something like this could be 3 times a week for the first 3 months. Why? Because I have to re-educate that spine. It's the most important part of care, is the first 3 months, because that's going to dictate your future. So he did it. Okay, he went through it, did it. We did it 3 times. We take an x-ray. Why do I take an x-ray in the middle?
I want to see where it's at.
Oh, yeah, I want to see if you followed through with recommendations. I want to see if we've stopped the degeneration process in the spine. So if it's a curve like this, it's only going to get what? If nothing's done. It's going to get worse. So there's train tracks out back, and sometimes we hear it go off. If I have my little daughter on the train tracks, who has to move?
She does.
Right? Because the train can't stop on a dime. So your spine under gravity can't stop on a dime either. So my number one thing, or the greatest thing I can do for you as your doctor, is stop your spine and leave it where it's at right today. Because your body's still going to function better if it's stopped. Other thing we want to look at is if there's any new areas that come up. So every 4 months when I learn a new technique, guess what changes in my spine? Right? However I do my new technique. So I get x-rayed all the time too to see if there's new areas. Because when do I feel subluxation? When it's too what? Absolutely. So guess what I never want to feel? That. Right? Absolutely. So again, you get a home care kit. So at home you'll get a wobble cushion, you get a neck traction unit, you get a head weight to wear around, you get rolls and wedges to do that stuff at home. And if you do it and you come to our workshop, so every month I put on a university type class for you guys. The most cutting edge information on the planet today to teach you guys how to make sure you reach your potential. And if you come to that, you do your home care, you make your visits, guess what kind of results you're going to get?
Very good.
Absolutely, the best, right? Just like I did. So we took his x-ray, this one's 6 months later, and what do you notice about that guy's spine?
Well,
Is it perfect?
great.
No, it's not perfect,
No,
right? It's
it's
not
better
perfect.
than it was.
Absolutely, so who's a healthier person?
Yes.
So guess what happened to his sciatica? Gone. Digestive issues, you can't even see That black stuff that you saw on the other one, guess what happened? Gone. Prostate cancer, gone. He brought me a letter 3 months after this from his oncologist that said he had one of the nicest looking prostates around. It's a gross letter, but it's true, no, right? But that's the thing, is that his body was functioning at 100%.
Yeah.
In 5 years he's been under care, he's lost over 105 pounds. So he was a guy that came every single month to these workshops. Okay, recipe nights, shopping classes, exercise classes, came to it all. But he took that little bit and applied it to his life. Some people are fast, they dive all in. Some people go slow. I'm not here to tell you which way to do it, I'm just here to make sure it gets done. That's all I am, I'm your coach. Right, he did it. He's lost 105 pounds. And he gave me the greatest compliment I've ever had as a chiropractor. So he said to me, he goes, when I worked at Pixar, he goes, I thought I had the world in my hands. He goes, I quit Pixar, I moved out here, I was a little depressed. He goes, I just want to let you know I quit my job. Why? He goes, because I thought I knew my purpose in life. He goes, I quit my job at Time Warner Cable. He goes, I'm serving missionaries. He goes, that's all I want to do, I'm going to be a missionary. He goes, because you helped me reach, he goes, you helped me reach my potential. Through reaching my potential, I was able to find my purpose in life. And he goes, thanks for that. And that's the greatest compliment I've ever had. Right? All the stories of people beating cancer and stuff like that, those are great stories, but what it means is that there was someone that was sick to begin with. My legacy now that I aim to leave is with my children, that they never get where we were. Right? They're never lost, they're never broken, they're just healthy from day one. That's the greatest thing I want to my name, is I'm making a difference. So he's doing great and loving life. And he's still a bundle of joy, man. I love that guy. Here's the last one I'm going to go over with you. So is this, ladies, besides your earrings or necklace, is that healthy or sick?
I would say
Or not so bad?
not so bad. It's hard to tell because you can't see.
Okay, so I'll move it down,
Okay,
right?
there we go.
But hold on, you answered how most people do, with not so bad. Is this 100%?
I would say no.
So remember in our life, so here's what I want you to understand. 100% is good, less than 100% is what? Bad. Not so bad. Okay, because if I would have show you this and said, does that make you happy, or would you want to be better? And you would tell me you want to be what? Absolutely. So here's the problem with this. She went to a chiropractor in 2004. He at least took the x-rays, but he played dictator. He said, I found damage, I found the cause of your problems, it's going to be 48 visits, and it's $4,800 to fix. And what do you think she said?
No, thank you.
Why?
It's
Say it, expensive,
expensive. And
right? And the time.
Yeah.
She's like, time and money, I can't do it, right? What's the single most important asset in your life?
Cash. It is for me.
Well, hold on, think about this. The reason I'm asking that is this. Steve Jobs had $7 billion. What good's his money today?
He's dead.
So what good's his money?
Yeah.
Did he have time? He had a lot of time, he was the CEO of Apple.
Right.
But if you asked him now, if you could meet him again and say, what would your greatest asset be, what would he tell me? Yeah. Because you could have all the money in the world, you can have all the time, but without your health, what do you have? Nothing. So that's what I said to her, right? I said, why'd you choose that? She goes, well, I didn't understand. She goes, I never understood my problems. She goes, every single lady at my job had headaches. So what did I think my problems are coming from? It's work. So I met her 5 years later. Okay, so 5 years later, she got referred to me. She comes walking in. She was miserable. Okay, I asked her, I said, tell me what's going on. I have bad headaches. I'm having wicked migraines. I'm missing all this work. I said, how's it affecting your life? She starts crying. I said, what are the tears for? She goes, I got a husband and 2 children at home. She goes, most of my day I'm in bed in a dark room. I don't get up to see them. I don't get anything about them. She goes, on the days I do go to work, I struggle through work. I get home, I hop in a bath, and I go to bed. I said, what's that doing in your relationship? She goes, what do you think? I said, it's probably making it pretty stressful. She was in tears. And I said, you know, what are you doing? She goes, well, I've been to every specialist, and they can't find anything wrong. So here's how, remember I said I was going to teach you how to read x-rays better than 90% of doctors? Here's how. This was her x-ray when she came and saw me, okay? What do you notice about that spacing compared to there?
Less.
It's damaged, right?
Yep.
Do you remember how long I told you that takes to develop in your body? These x-rays are 5 years apart, so when did her true problems begin?
Wow.
7 years before she had her first what? Headache. So here's how you're going to be able to read it better than 90% of doctors. As a doctor, we're taught to look at this looking for fracture, pathology, so cancers, tumors, or disease process.
Okay.
So if there's none of that on there, what do you call that person? Normal. So every time she went to her doctor, every time they did a scan, they couldn't find the cause of her problems, so she was just called, oh, it's normal, it's normal, it's normal. And she's like, I got bad headaches, it's affecting my life. So she finally went enough times that they called her what? Crazy. So she said to me at one visit, she goes, I went in, I was at wit's end, had enough, she was, I was fed up. They called her depressed, so they gave her bipolar medication, antidepressants, antipsychotics. They put her on high blood pressure, cholesterol. They gave her a thyroid medication. They gave her Prilosec, so she got put on 7 meds in one day.
Oh my God.
Starts taking this cocktail. Nothing's working, goes back. They're like, well, we got this clinical trial at Anschutz Medical Campus that she went down every week and had a needle that long injected in the back of her skull. It was a clinical trial drug at $500 a week. So she was spending $2,500 a month on her health. And guess where it was going? Down. Right? Down. And I said to her, I said, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to leave it or fix it? Guess what her answer was? That's what I would have thought. She said, what happens if I leave it? And I said, it's only going to get what? Worse. I said, eventually you're going to go and it's going to be bone on bone. When it's bone on bone, then doctors will talk about doing what? Spinal surgery. So this isn't Pat's x-ray, this is another lady altogether. She sat through this report just like you, just like Pat. I said, do you want to leave it or fix it? She said, I'm 100% committed, I'll do whatever it takes. She goes, what's my insurance cover? And what did I tell her? So guess what she said? I'm going to go have spinal surgery because they're going to pay for it. And what did I say to her? Right? Because it's not my decision. So I let her go. Why do I have her x-ray? Because 6 months to the day after her surgery, guess where she came back? She came back to me begging me for help. She was, I thought, she was, for the first 3 weeks after my surgery, she was, I thought I won the lotto. She said, my problems were gone, I was on cloud 9, and then that 3rd week hit, and she goes, I've been in hell ever since. So she goes, can I just pay the money you showed me? And when I showed her the cost, she said it was too what? Expensive. Right? That's what she said, I'm gonna use my insurance, it's too expensive. And so I said to her, well, how much did you pay for your spinal surgery? She was a $180,000 procedure, and her insurance covered 90%. So I said to her, you paid $18,000 for that procedure. She goes, yep. And she told me that my care was what? Right. It's a value thing, right? So she goes, well, can I just pay that amount? And I said, no, actually, I raised my fees. She goes, well, how much is it now? What do you think I told her? $18,000. I was kidding. Okay, I'm kidding, right? It's not $18,000, but does it make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Why should I get paid less? So, long story short, she's under care now, all of her symptoms are gone, she's off all of her medications, right? Because I can work above and below that area. But she always asked me, she said, please use me an example so people don't make a decision based on their what? On their health insurance. Absolutely. So back to Pat. I said to her this, I said, do you want to leave it or fix it? Right after I showed her that, she goes, I want to fix it. She goes, I'm just scared about the cost. I said, well, Pat, you're already paying $2,500 a month. So if you break my care up and pay an extra $300 a month, that adds up to $2,800 you're paying out. She goes, I know, but that'd be really tight. I said, right, but really tight for how long? Until I get her off her what? Absolutely. So it was a month and a half into care, guess what she stopped taking? Guess what she stopped getting injected in the back of her skull? So she was saving $2,500 a month in a month and a half. So how do you think that made her feel? Right? How do you think that made her husband feel?
Fabulous.
Absolutely, right? Because they're just frustrated, right? But we got to the cost. And so here's the deal. She chose to fix it. So we took x-rays in the middle, we took x-rays at the end. This is her last x-ray. And again, the greatest thing I could do for her is to stop that spine from getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
Any correction we get is just icing on the cake. So this was her x-ray, and what do you notice? Right. But here's what most medical doctors will tell you. After the age of 18, you can't change a what? You can't change the spine. Most chiropractors will tell you if it's in phase 2, it can't be moved. So if you want to believe them, what kind of result are you going to get?
Not good result.
Right. So who do you think? She trusted me, and what did she get?
She got her curve back.
So when she got the curve back, what happened to her life?
Improved.
She got her life back. So you want to talk about potential? She was just a teller when she started seeing me that thought she was going to lose her job. Now she's the CEO of one of the largest banks in Colorado.
Oh, really?
Why? Because when you can reach your potential every day, you can go and do great things.
Yeah.
Her family life is better. Her husband and kids love me. I'm like, don't love me. Love her. It was her choice. Like, oh, you played a part, right? And the thing about it is, it's not me. It's him using me to do his works. And that's what I truly believe. I'm nothing special. I just go off of above, down, inside out. I remove the interference and I let your body heal. And it works if you let it work. The only time people don't work is if they don't come or don't do what we ask them, they don't get the results. Yet still, guess who gets blamed?
You do.
Right? That's why I set up this way. You're going to be a doctor with me. Right? Because we like to blame the doctor, so if it's not working, who do I blame? Right? Because we'll look and see. You know, is there cases that sometimes take longer? Absolutely. but we're not gonna blame you. We're gonna give you the love and support and encouragement to make it through, to get the results that you want. But I guarantee you this, if it works for someone in their 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s, it's gonna work for you. Why? Because it's all or none. It works 100% of the time, or it doesn't work. The only time I've ever seen it work is when the people haven't worked, or it's been other chiropractors trying to do a sham of what we do.
So, and this is, so I have a weird
No,
question.
you're fine.
All of these are similar looking?
Yep.
In a sense, these are, why are
This
these
is,
not?
this is different, this is a different person, so that's just her spine.
But I mean, is it always, like, is everyone different?
Yes.
Like some people
Well, the
like
curve,
this,
right, so just, she has kissing spines, so what that is, it's a congenital anomaly that she was born that way.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's just a weird picture, like she's got a really elongated, that she does too, so you're sort of right, if it was the same person, then I would say there's a concern, but it's a different lady.
oh, I know, but I
Yeah.
was just wondering
Nope.
why it was,
Yeah, no, it's just an anomaly there, that they're kissing spines,
oh, okay.
so she's born like that.
Okay.
And yet they fused below it, which doesn't make sense. Who am I, right? So does that make sense how we get, you can sit there, yeah, you can sit there, you're good. Does that make sense how we get results?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back here right away, I'm gonna pull up your x-rays and then ask you what you see, okay? If you wanna leave it or you wanna fix it, I'll walk you through it. But obviously you see how we get results. And, there's 3 requirements to be a patient. That's the most important part, is that one is that you're committed, but committed to who? Yes. So make your visits, do the stuff, come to the workshops, do your home care, and I guarantee you great results. But if you're not here, I can't get you well. And if you travel, that's no big deal. The guy from Time Warner traveled all the time, took his stuff on the road, and still was able to get great results. So it's just about doing your home care, right? Doing the rolls, sleeping on it, just doing the things it takes. Second thing is, if you have any family that lives here, I check them at my expense. Okay, complete x-rays on me. I can't make them to come in. I can't force them to do that, but it's an offer to, because if I can find damage in your family's spine early, who's going to be happy?
We're all gonna be happy.
Absolutely, right? Because your life or their health affects who? All of us as a whole, right? And here's the thing, chiropractic saved my life, but when I first got out of school, I wasn't brave enough to tell them, I wasn't brave enough to speak the truth. What I mean by that is I had a husband one night, his wife and his 2 teenage kids. He sat here like this, never made eye contact with me, never answered a question, so halfway through it, I turned my back on him, okay? I was just like, screw him. He didn't want to be here. I was like, why is he here? I just said, screw it. So I focused on mom and the kids. 2 years go by, they're in great health, never taken any more medications, doing great, lost a ton of weight. He comes in one day and goes, hey, do you remember me? And I'm like, I can remember because he had a huge beard, big beer belly, looked like a biker, and I was afraid of him, right? I was scared. So I was like, yes, I remember you. He's like, my family's been so great, I want to be like them. I'm like, that's great, let's take an x-ray. So we took an x-ray of that spine that day, and in here I could see all these calcified arteries, or organs, like everything was just calcified in his neck, meaning he's more prevalent to have a heart attack. So I was like, Bill, we got to get started today. In 3 months, I seen a guy quit drinking, he quit smoking, he lost 30 pounds, he went to every shopping class, every cooking class we had, every exercise class. The guy was coming up to women here going, hey, you got a recipe for this? And I was blown away, right? And his wife one day heard him, he's like, do you know before he started in your office, the only thing he could cook was Kraft dinner? I'm like, are you kidding me? She's like, yeah, he's like a gourmet chef now. He found things that he loved to do because he just didn't know.
Yeah.
So he was in it to win it. You're gonna get my number tonight, my cell phone number, my personal email number. I'm on call 24/7 for you, okay? And I mean that. So what happened was in the middle of the night one day, I get a phone call from his wife. She says, I heard a thud, I went down the stairs, I found Billy had a massive heart attack and died. 3 months into care,
Oh my God.
right? That's what I said. I go to the funeral, paid our respects. She writes us a great letter. It was a thank you letter, but in it, she said, I know that if Bill would have started care 2 years ago, he'd be here today. And I remember that, and I remember that feeling I felt, that I felt responsible for that guy's life. Why? Because I turned my back on him. And I was more concerned about my own insecurities, my own being of wanting to be liked, that I let that go. So I said to Michelle, I said, we got a choice. We got to cross that line in the sand. We either move forward and we'd be on purpose, we'd be on principle, or we'd be scared and we'd do it for wrong reasons. And we chose to move forward. And I used to have a huge kids play area of video games, and parents would come in and get adjusted, and they'd leave their kids where? Right? But if subluxation is causing damage in you, who else is it causing damage in? Kids. So I got sick of it. And I finally said, you know what? They're coming back with you, and their parents were like, no, they're not. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ask you to leave and go find another place. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, I can't stand this. It sickens me that I'm letting this happen. So I lost people, but more people have come. Why? Because I'm congruent now to my ways.
Yeah.
And that's just, I can't force your friends and family to start. but at least I can tell them the truth, and it's up to you, just ask them, right? If you're willing to do that, we're good. And the last thing to me is just sharing this message with others. Why? Because did you learn something new tonight that makes a lot of sense? How many people do you think deserve on this earth to hear this?
Everybody.
But how many people get that opportunity?
Right.
Right. And I can't do it alone. I can't. I've tried for years and I can't do it alone. So that's why I ask you to help me. What I mean by that is tonight you'll see one of these sheets, and all we ask you to do is invite your friends and family to come to dinner with me. Okay, the people in your cell phone, so your favorites, all those contacts, you just put it down. You just show me your heart. The reason I asked for that is because where was my name? On one of these sheets, right? The guy asked me to go to dinner, right? So he wrote my name down and invited me to a dinner. And if I would have never been invited or ever asked, where would I be today?
It'll be done.
Probably, absolutely. I wouldn't be the guy in front of you, I guarantee that much. But a couple years ago, before I had my first child, I had another office girl named Jen, and she went up to a guy after the report and said, hey, would you mind inviting your friends and family to come out for dinner with us? We just want to share this information. You said it was important for people to get it. He took the clipboard and he tossed it and hit that little wall. And I remember hearing that one day from my adjusting bay. And that was that moment where I had that pit in my stomach going, what do I do? Am I a coward or am I a man of integrity? And that day I just chose to be a man of integrity. It was scareful. I remember that walk, I'm like, oh crap. So I went up and I said, what's the problem? He goes, I don't want to do this because you're just trying to grow your practice. And I said, is that how you feel? And he said, yeah. I said, great, come with me. He thought I was going to bring him back. I took him up and I said, Jen, refund him his money, let him go somewhere else. He goes, are you freaking serious? What do you think I said? I said, I'm dead serious. He goes, why? And I said, because if my friend wouldn't have put my name down, where would I be? Dead. He goes, well, I wanted to see if I got results. I said, again, if my friend waited for him to get results, where would I be? Dead. I said, we just don't do that.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I don't want to do it. I said, great, then go to a place that you do. And that's what I want for you. I want you to go to a place where you're going to get results and that you want to tell people about, right? That you're happy to share it with. Why? Because that's what I just do every day. And it would be very incongruent for me not to do that. And now the thing that I think about the most is my 2 children, right? Like I'm grateful that that guy put my name down. What I'm not grateful about is that he was under care for 3 years before he even mentioned it to me, right? How much better do you think I would have enjoyed life if I would have started 3 years before? So why do we wait? We don't. So I just asked you, it's not about them coming. If they're out of state, you just write where they're at. I'm going to find a guy that does a dinner and invite them to dinner. If you put names down and numbers, we're not going to cold call them. We're going to ask you to reach out to them first. So if Jim's like, I don't want to go, we don't call him. I don't want to be strangers. We want to do it through you. We want a great relationship. We don't want to be awkward. And the other reason, the other thing too is, do you remember a few years ago, there's a guy in New York that was standing on the subway tracks and he had his kid's hands. I think it was a 4 and a 6-year-old in his hands. And a guy had a seizure and he fell on the track and he rolled down and he was lying there having a seizure and this guy's looking and not a single person did anything. And he let go of his kid's hands, he hopped down, rolled him into the middle of the track and lied flat as that car came screeching over his back. The car moved, he got up and he saved that guy's life. And people went and said to that guy, you're a hero, you're a hero, you're a superhero. And what did he say? No, I'm not. I'm what? I'm human. I saw a life that needed help and I did whatever it takes. I'm not asking you to jump on a train track. Because right now, if you ask me, would I be able to do that, what would I tell you?
No.
I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could. Holding my 2 babies' hands, I don't know if I could do that. So that guy was something better than you and I. So I'm just saying, hey, we bring him out to dinner, and who doesn't like free food? Everyone loves free food. Why do they love free food? Because it's free. I always say because we don't have to do the dishes. Does that make sense? Do you understand my heart?
Uh-huh.
And the other thing of it too is, I got a mother right now that was diagnosed with lung cancer in October of 2012. I brought her out here for a month that December of 12. She went back January 13, did another CT scan. Her cancer shrunk by over 60%. She was 77 years old. Last November 13, she had a stroke. Her medical doctors in Canada said no, her cancer spread to her brain. My mom believed them over me, went through 5 radiation treatments. She went from 105 pounds down to 77 pounds. She can't walk without a walker or wheelchair. She has no memory. She calls my son Joshua. His name's Justice. She wasn't able to come down to the birth of my kid. And I would pray every single day that there was someone like that did what I did up in Canada. Right? There's no one. The closest office is 3.5 hours away. Do I think it's important for my parents to drive? Yes, my dad's 83. It's the worst highway in North America with more deaths on that highway than any other highway. So guess what I don't want him doing? Right. So I can't worry about my mom. I can't focus about it, but all I can do is be here to save your friends and your family, and that's what I'm committed to do. Right? I take my struggles back in Canada. I'm using it to make this world that I live in a better place. But every single day I pray that one day somebody's gonna be doing what I do up there.
Yeah.
The worst part of the story, my oldest brother, first ever adjustment I had, he's a chiropractor. Guess who does not adjust? My mother.
Oh, really?
And that tears me apart. Tears me apart, right? But he doesn't want to do it. I can't blame him. It's his choice.
Yeah.
He's got to be happy. Does that make sense? Let me grab your file, or it might be in the door. Let's go back in there. We're going to show you. You can make the best choice.
All right.